Hey everyone, Genome here, coming at you with another episode of The Copper Mine. Today we're going to take a look back at what is possibly my favorite graphic novel of all time. In fact, I probably wouldn't even say probably, I'm pretty much just go out on a limb and say it is my favorite graphic novel of all time, and that is none other than The Punisher, Return to Big Nothing. So, let's just jump right into it. First of all, you probably ask yourself, Genome, why do you consider this the greatest comic or graphic novel of all time? Well, there's a lot of reasons, not the least of which is just the iconic cover of this thing. I mean, it's not going to show too well. I don't want to get too close. It screws up the focusing. But I had this poster as a teenager, and it was not cheap. I had to special order it. It's just the cover by Mike Zeck is just beyond belief how good it is, and it's just an iconic, probably the most iconic cover of any Punisher book ever, I would hazard to say. And I don't know, man, it's just epic in every way, and it's actually printed by Epic Comics, but that's a story for another day. So basically, we have a story here written by Stephen Grant, and it's penciled by Mike Zeck, of course, and he's always, as always, partnered up with the inimitable John Beatty. I almost call him John Bailey. Sorry about that. Especially since he gave me a signature once, I should be very kind enough to at least get his name right? So, nomenclature notwithstanding, let's delve into why I kind of think this book is the greatest graphic novel of all time. First of all, it better be good, because back in the day of '89, I believe this came out, it listed for $16.95, so it's a pretty tall order, you know, for books, and it's not that big. If you see by page, what's the page count of this thing? I actually don't have it listed, but I'd say it's probably, I don't know, 45 pages or so. So it's not exceptionally huge. But what it lacks in size, it more makes up for in story and in artwork too. Let's just get this out of the way. The artwork through the entire book is incredible. Mike Zeck can't make a bad book. John Beatty can't make a bad color. It's just impossible with those two, and they work so well together, and they gel so well. It's like they're like Dracula in his coffin, you know. But so it's just spectacular artwork all throughout. So we'll just get that out of the way early on. So let's get to meat and potatoes. You know, a book can have stupendous art and still be awful. You know, no sense listing out myriad examples of that, but there's plenty of them out there. So art does not make or break a book, it merely accents it. And in this case, the story, it just hits it out of the park. So, you know, for a brief rundown of how the Punisher works, for those of you somehow wouldn't know, you know, Punisher's family's killed, he's a former Marine. I don't think he was Special Forces or anything, not in the comics world. I don't think it ever delves that deep into it, but and he basically goes berserk, and it's a different kind of berserk though. It's a very measured, low-key berserk, but he basically takes out the killing of his family on every criminal that's out there, regardless of their crime, for just about anything, you know. I don't know if he would just shoot like a car thief or something, but I don't think he'd make any bones about it if the car thief attacked him. So his mission is to destroy criminals wherever they are. He plays by a different set of rules. This is not Batman, this is not Superman, this is not Captain America. You know, he's there to put people down, or in the literal sense, not the poor emotional crippling sense. So he travels all over. I mean, he mostly sticks to New York because there's plenty of crime to fight there. Kingpin basically being his nemesis just because of all the, you know, the criminals in his employ. But you know, he pops up wherever, and he's all over. He's riddled with guest appearances all over the Marvel universe in different books, from Spider-Man to even Darkhawk. So I should have had some of those ready for showing you. But anyway, in this case, he is going after some weapons dealers. So once again, these are criminals that the heroes don't bother with. I mean, like I said, outside of Daredevil, maybe Spider-Man, you know, most Marvel superhero teams and even solo guys don't really deal with the petty crime too much. I guess Cloak and Dagger could be up there too. They take on the drug dealers and stuff. So, you know, but the Punisher is going after the dregs, the criminals that the super metahumans don't deal with, right? And so in this story, he's kind of going after the root of a lot of killings, which is the illegal sale of weapons to the criminal element. In this case, I believe it's a North Vietnamese gang, and they're selling to a local criminal organization. This has tie-ins throughout the book. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give you something along the bottom of the screen here, graphically letting you know when the spoilers are gonna stop, because spoilers are gonna start, let's say, basically now. So if you've never read this, you want to save it for a later date and actually plan on reading it and be surprised by it, I'll go ahead and give you the timestamp now. Just skip ahead to this number or to this time, and then spoilers should be over. I won't go through every detail of the book, of course. I'll just give you the gist of it. Punisher sneaks aboard a weapons shipment and meets up to the place where the deal is taking place. He plans on stopping it, and everyone else involved in the deal. The FBI is involved with it in some ephemeral way, which he does take advantage of later on, but this is just the beginning of a kind of an epic journey into his past. Oh, the reason I was saying that the gang had some ties with him is because I believe his unit had dealings with them when he was in Vietnam, because he was in the Vietnam War. He's a Vietnam veteran. So let's go ahead and get into it. What I find really incredible about this story is some of the, when he's thinking about himself in the first person, I don't know, it's just, I hate to say poignant, but he says some very memorable things. Like, he refers to himself as a cockroach, and he thrives in the dark because he's in hiding right now, ready to get these guys. I'm a spider. I live, for the heat, because he's sweating and it's out in the middle of the desert and all that. But so he's just kind of psyching himself up, but for the benefit of the loyal reader, we kind of know what he's thinking. And he says something that's really interesting here. I'll just read out a quick blurb of it. Guns for life, guns for hostages, guns for money. Everyone wants guns. Guns are death. It's kind of an interesting little message here from the gun-toting hero, but okay. At this point, he's going through crates of ammunition, unbeknownst to the others, and pulling out weaponry. And then below that, he's like, all criminals want death. These weapons are for me and for the war. No guns for them, only death. And he's like, I understand death. Death is their enemy in this war. I am a point man, taking the war back to them. I am death. All roads lead to me. So, I mean, that's, pretty deep stuff for, what people consider Sunday pulp, and cartoon stuff. So, the Punisher is not like that. So, let's move on a little bit. So, he thwarts the deal. One of the FBI guys that's involved in the sting operation is shot and mortally wounded. The Punisher is taking him away from the scene, but it's not really to help him, because the Punisher pretty much knows he's already dead. He takes the freaking FBI agent's ID and everything, and assumes his identity to continue the sting operation himself. But he's basically killed everybody else at the scene. So, moving on, I won't go through every detail. But there's some other things I'd like to mention here. Right here, remember I mentioned the FBI agent was dying? Well, here's some more, of him thinking internally. And real help's too far off. Even in this heat, he's shivering, he won't live. The best I can do is keep him talking. If he's distracted, maybe he'll forget to die. I mean, my gosh. Talk about, like, cold and calculating, but it's interesting how he walks you through what he's thinking like that. Then you go through he finds out one of his old sergeants in his unit is kind of behind a lot of this, and it shows, Frank, a young Frank, right before the war started, and he's very idealistic, and this sergeant kind of beats the hell out of him and puts him in his place, and it's like his nemesis in Vietnam and all, but he's still his, first line supervisor, so you got to listen to him. We go through basic stuff. Frank is chasing down, every lead he can. He confronts the sergeant again on an army base, because he's doing it right under everyone's nose at an army base. But he's taken prisoner, in a very foolish kind of Bond-esque way. The ex-sergeant hands Frank off to the Vietnamese gang to kill off the scene. Of course, this doesn't work out so well. Frank gets away, as it is his comic, so it's going to happen. But he has something else he says here cool. He gets some evidence once he escapes of a few people who got away that had tried to kill him, but they leave something behind. So it's a matchbook from a brothel, I guess they're going to be going to, or they frequent. He's like, I know where it'll be. Let them run. I'll be waiting. So, all right. So here we go again. He's going to set a trap for no other reason but to kill these guys. You know, that is the Punisher. That is what he does. He's not there to coddle these things. He's not there to get the law involved. It's just he is the law unto himself, you know. It's like Judge Dredd on steroids. But so Frank gets to the brothel ahead of time, and here's an interesting turn of events, because, you know, his wife was killed. He can't settle down with anybody else, but, you know, the man is lonely, even if he won't admit it, even in first person. So he actually sleeps with a prostitute, and it's kind of an interesting line here. He's like, you know, all women smell like Maria to me. Maria was his wife. And he says, in the dark, all women feel like Maria. So basically, you know, even while he's with this prostitute, or he just closes his eyes and pretends he's with his wife. So, but I mean, in most cases, you would think, you know, they'll make it out to where, you know, the Punisher would never do that with a woman. You know, he's gonna be celibate for life now at this point. But nope, that's not how they write him. So they turned this guy into a real character, man. So he hears the people who tried to kill him before kind of pull up, and he starts to get ready, and he's like, this is my world now. He's setting his trap, and he's like, in my world, only those who hurt others get hurt. That's his mantra, right? So yeah, he plows through the dudes, finds out where his next victim is going to be, and you know, he heads that way. So let's get on a little bit further. So hopefully I'm not boring you too bad here, but there's just so many good lines. I'm gonna ruin them all for you. So the next guy works in a casino. He's like a casino boss, and the Punisher goes in and he wins on the tables by flashing his gun. Basically, he's making the dealer cheat for him, and this of course draws the attention of the guy, which he wants. So the guy sends his goons out. The Punisher has no problem with them. He runs away, the casino boss, because he knows something bad's gonna happen here. I better get the hell out of here. But Frank ambushes him and rips the transaction out of his car with a chain. It's kind of a funny thing. He has tied to the wall. But he says something else that's really cool here. Let's see, where was it at? He's like, control shifts from hand to hand, but they never let it go. You know, these criminals are just addicted to control and, of course, money. And then he's like, until it's taken from them. He's like, control leaks from him like acid from his feet, burning a path to Gorman with every step let him run. So basically, he is being sadistic, at least in his own mind, with these guys, and really capitulating on his victim's fear and how they're going to behave under stress. So he knows in their heart most of these guys are just cowards. But and then where it gets really wild is the Punisher kind of fakes his way using the FBI persona into a prison where the ringleader of the Vietnamese gang is, and he goes into a prison, and he sets up an escape. It's pretty cool, and he kind of interrogates and then kills the ringleader in prison. And there's something else that's interesting here. It's more of his first-person musings. Freaking love this. Might be my favorite line in the whole book, but he's like, you learned this in prison. Watch the shoes, avoid the eyes. They don't look at me. They wouldn't see me anyway. They're all focused on death. They want it. Why else be criminals? So, I mean, so he also says, nobody wants to go to heaven, but everyone wants to die. So, I don't know if this is the writer's way of saying maybe he's being sarcastic here, or maybe Frank really is, he's gone so far over the edge he actually believes this. They all secretly want to die in kind of a Freudian sense or Skinnerian sense, you know. They have some latent desire to self-flagellate and hurt themselves, and that's why they get to be criminals. Maybe that's how ironclad his belief and his hatred of criminals has brought him. So, I don't know. But I just, lines like that, man, are what separate this book from basically all others. And there's more flashback sequences here. So he knows who the big bad guy is and where he's going to be at. He's going to be at the camp. The camp was called used to be called Camp Nothing. It was a staging ground before people left for Vietnam. And since there was nothing to do there, the soldiers started calling it Big Nothing. Well, after the sergeant had beat up Frank, you know, before they left for Vietnam, he started calling Frank Big Nothing because Frank was a big guy or whatever. And he basically just humiliated him for the rest of his time in the Army or in the Marines. So Frank sets a trap for the guy who's at this compound. So you think the other guy's going to trap Frank, but you know, Frank, he's just too smart for that. So I'll go ahead and skip past all the action scenes because we're not going to worry about that. Let's just say Frank does okay, as per usual. And so we'll get to the very final piece. And I'll read a lot of this. Basically, the big bad guy Gorman has a sucking chest wound, and Frank goes back to the first person again. He's like, introspectively, you know, I'm the Punisher. He sucks air as if breathing hard enough will make him live again, and then the sucking stops. Their laughter dies out all over the world. They know. So, you know, speaking of just criminals, you know, they laugh at the law. The rich ones who buy it and twist it to their whims. The other ones who have nothing to lose, who don't care about themselves or other people. All the ones who think they're above the law or outside of it or beyond it. They know, they know all the law is good for, well, I'm not reading this very well, am I? They know all the law is good for is to keep good people in line. So basically, Frank is saying the laws are what's causing crime, you know, what's causing these killers to run free. And I guess in a draconian sense, he's kind of right, you know, if you just go by blacks and whites, but we'll continue. And, you know, speaking of the criminal still, he's like, and they all laugh. And, you know, and then he says, they laugh at the law. And of course, the very final line of the book, which just epitomizes Frank Castle, the Punisher, and everything I love about him. He's like, but they don't laugh at me. And he's walking away from a dead body. I mean, what more can you say about a book like this? It's mature. They do so much with the background of the character, and you can almost believe this guy. I mean, this is not like, you know, Captain Marvel or Spider-Man ridiculousness, you know, where they just use a Duce Machina or whatever to create the superhero out of nothing but cheesecloth. But Punisher, I mean, it's, you know, under specific circumstances, anyone could be the Punisher, you know. If they are stressed enough, if they're put into a horrible situation like he was, you know, who knows how you'd react. You know, of course, he gets a lot of comic liberties, but so that's just so relatable. But they show him as, you know, a guy who's betrayed serving his country, and he comes back and tries to become a good citizen, and he's betrayed again. You know, the law doesn't protect him. The powerful don't protect him. He should have, you know, a life free to enjoy with his family and, you know, just be a regular human being, but he's always denied this. So, you know, you can start to see how this would push a guy over the edge and make him someone as draconian as the Punisher. So I won't go on too much longer about it, but if you've not read it before, do yourself a favor, pick it up and read it. End of spoilers, by the way. And just let me know what you think. I mean, if you have this book, haven't read it for a while, and take a gander at it again and see if you pick up some more meanings on it like I have. You know, there's a lot of nuance in the book. While it looks black and white and very, you know, yin and yang on one side, there's nuance to be had there, you know. Once again, the Punisher's wrong, and you could actually start to see the point where maybe he's not, I mean, he's never been a good guy, he's always been an anti-hero, but maybe you can almost see the point where he needs to be stopped. Because, you know, when a guy with a mindset like that gets fixated on something, he can go after anybody. And, you know, maybe what happens if he changes his rules on who he goes after? So, yeah, he's a polarizing character in some ways, and man, there's need more books like this out there, and especially nowadays, you know. It's something that really makes you think. But anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Make sure to go out and pick it up. I'm sure you can get it for, I don't know what this thing actually goes for anymore, but heck, it's worth it even for the artwork. So, but it's a beautiful cover. Let's see if I can, that's just the dust cover. I thought it had some pictures on the hardback. Not really, it's just black. Well, actually, you know what, there is an embossed, people probably can't see it, but there's an embossed skull right here. Maybe I can get some light catching. Probably not. But there's the Punisher logo right here, and then it's red on the binding and all on the spine. But beautiful book, beautiful writing, beautiful art. Pick it up, read it if you haven't. That's all I can say. All right, well, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more comic content in the near future. And until next time, this is Genome, loving him some Punisher. Out.